opportunities? And lastly, really, how do we see the future? Okay? So, Colin, maybe I'll start with you. Saudi Arabia's design industry is moving at an absolute breakneck speed. From supply chains to market saturation, in your perspective, how do you maintain quality? How do you deal with timelines? We've got all of these geopolitical concerns about getting the product here. We've obviously got this entire exhibition on Saudi made. Give us your impression on how you make this happen.
Well, it's a great question, and I believe it's not an easy thing to do, but lately Saudi Arabia is heading towards great vision, and there are large-scale projects that is really promising, whether it is nearby the sea, the Red Sea, like for example the Coral Blue project or Neon projects or whatever, regarding the Red Sea company projects, which is considered to be 7-star hotels and so on. It's very complicated, it's very promising and high-end, and it's not an easy thing to do in this era, especially that contractors are not really well trained to be integrated with designers and according to the time frame, which is very tight, and it requires high integration between the designer, the owners, and also the contractors. But these challenges are becoming now easier and easier with the practice and with the upcoming projects, and I believe we're heading there to the bright future, little by little, and I'm very optimistic about it.
I'm excited. Okay, so you've turned that fear into optimism. Perfect. Sara, you're here. You're obviously an engineer, so you have an interesting perspective of engineering, content creation. I'm going to ask you like a challenge. What keeps you up at night?
The thing that scares me the most, and I have fear of, me, like personally, forget about the work, etc. I always pray to always be creative in a good health, okay? Because of course you definitely need to be in good health mentally and physically to always keep doing beautiful work and also create. But when it comes to work, I'm always scared that efficiency comes over creativity. Okay, because we're now in 2025, as you can see, everyone is using technology, AI, and you just
terms, you need to somehow read their operations, understand how they really work to design a space for them.
Okay. Engy, we bumped into each other on day one, and well, you and Khaled was like, "You've got to see your Instagram handle." So I went home and I popped open Instagram. I'm very rarely content creation. Obviously, your content is very personal. Does anything make you fearful about where this is all going?
Actually, lately I started using ChatGPT to help me in writing the scripts. But at the end of the day, he's an assistant to me. He's not creative enough. He's not the one who's putting the idea. He's getting ideas, he's giving me ideas, but then the ideas are not catchy. So you have to be the one who is mastering it, the AI. So for example, I want to write something about chairs, okay? So I tell him, I want to write, I tell it. Not I tell him, tell it. I want to write about chairs.
It's alright, I genderized too. Him works?
Okay, so for example, so I tell him I want the black chair, and I want the script is about the wooden chairs and how soft they are and the dimensions of it. So I give him all the inputs. So it starts to write something close to what I need. So I take the main information from it, and then I put my personal hook. It can never give me the intro and the outro
I
of the
have
video.
one question, Engy. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
Do you talk to ChatGPT gently? Please, can you write for me? Or you are very rude?
Depends on
I see two types of people, or everyone started laughing. Because some people, they're being so, why are you stupid? Or why do you write it wrongly? And some people, please, can you write for me a text about this to come?
Polite.
What about you, Khaled?
So polite.
Polite?
I actually think it's not about the car, it's about the driver who drives the car. This driver has to be very talented, aware, responsible, and looking forward to find better solutions, can direct the car wherever he wants. So we shouldn't depend 100% on the tool, but rather we should be expert in handling the tool in the right ways that can produce positive results by the end.
Okay, and just coming back on the content, Engy, obviously you spend a lot of time trying to figure out, what your audience wants, right?
Yes.
We again had a fantastic presentation just before us with the keynote speaker with storytelling and narratives. Do you feel that some of that can actually come together with the likes of ChatGPT or another LLM? Or do you feel that narrative, like human-centric, is only coming, as Khaled said, with you being the driver in the driver's seat? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I agree with Khaled. Yeah, I'm the driver. And the storytelling, at the end of the day, it's a computer, it's a robot, okay? So he won't have that soft way in telling the story, or he won't touch your feelings. When he's talking about the design, people are not attached with the technical specs. People attach with the space and the product with their emotions more, and by storytelling. For example, if you want to tell someone about, if I want to talk about beddings, for example, so beddings, you can use the bed sheets, the count thread, blah 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 blah. These are information. But when you put it in a storytelling, what do you think about having a hotel room at your house? So this is storytelling. You need to have the smoothness of the bed sheets. You need to have the scent of the room. You need to have the color palette, like the beige colors. So you're telling a story. So you are stimulating the imagination of the viewer. Because many people cannot imagine. Okay. So when you're telling them in the way of a story, they start to imagine that they are already in the hotel. They have that feeling inside. So of course, storytelling, a human can only do the storytelling, to be honest.
Okay,
in my point of view.
Fair enough. Rasha, what are your thoughts on that with regards to the narratives you have to script both in two different countries, right? You do a lot of work in UAE, you do a lot of work in Saudi Arabia. Local identity tends to be a huge thing here. How do you sort of work through that, and does that sort of weave itself with storytelling as well?
Yeah, of course, in a way, but I wouldn't say it's the foundation, because if, let's say, that local context or local identity was the foundation of every space we design, then everything would look like the other, every space would look like the other thing. So that local context is more of an infusion that you kind of add to the other ingredients of design. Is that hotel brand, if it was a hotel, then add that local context to it, in a way that the client will then say, this is us in Saudi, or this is us more specifically in Riyadh, this is us in Dubai. So that's the challenge, that when you design something, it is so them that replacing the logo with another logo will not make it work.
And do you feel that the opportunity is I think part of the conversation we've had here is in embedding yourself into these cultures, because, with the little time that I've been in,
I think the internet is there, but there are certain kind of like customs and traditions that you can't easily learn if you're not living in the country. Personally, I'm talking about my personal experience being an Iraqi. Somehow we're from the GCC, so I understand the traditions and the cultures and what's okay and what's not okay to do or to have within the office environment. So that of course helps, because you know the reasons why. You're not just told why something is appropriate or not, you just understand the reasons behind it, you understand the core behind those traditions and costumes.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that. Well, I have 2 points. First of all, the artificial intelligence, I believe it lacks the emotional intelligence. And this is something really important to keep in mind. So we'll have to add from time to time our emotional part of it. So it guides through the ideas that we want to put out in a way that is reasonable and logical to every brain. From another side, as a Saudi architect, I feel proud that Saudi Arabia recently just launched a new software or a platform called Wellbeing. I don't know if you heard about it or not, under the PIF. This gives more accuracy to the local culture, the local spirit of the database that it has. It's better than ever because, as you can see, ChatGPT or any other AI app or software is too generic and it's not really sensitive to the local context. But Humane is going to be very specialized in the local context, especially to the Arabic language, to the Saudi regions, to the costumes and all this, and that in a very specific manner that gives the soul to every idea, that puts out the spirit of the culture and the country that comes from.
So Khalid, I want to really add to that. We speak about humane and you speak about emotional intelligence. Does that not add to the fear component if someone's already developed this as an emotional intelligence? Especially, let's assume Saudi. You want cultural context. You want the north of Saudi, the east of Saudi, west of Saudi. By the way, you can go to Humane and you can really figure that out. I mean, does that not add to the fear?
That's correct. I believe it adds to our expertise more than adding fear. Instead of having one computer, I have a million computers in one hand. Like talking to 10 people who are very expert about the context or the culture or a specific topic, instead of like we used to do previously, speaking to something very generic that is not really specified to a certain area. And I believe it helps a lot to the ideation process, to the creation of amazing ideas like the designer used to do. But instead of having weeks to produce one idea, now you have 1 or 2 days to produce many ideas that has better quality and more accurate.
I want to ask a question, Khalid, because well, one of the things can be a little bit blunt here that gives you, let's say, more opportunities is that you're privileged to be Saudi, right? So then you always have the advantage of being Saudi, understanding the culture, being local. So having that software will make it so easy, maybe for other people who are living abroad in across the countries, to maybe take away some of your opportunities as a Saudi because they'll have easy access to all of this data. So doesn't that give you more fear that your local presence is not as privileged anymore, if that makes sense?
Well, in this time of our lives, I believe we opened up more than ever our doors as Saudis to people from around the world, to be hosted, to be closer to our culture, to our vision. We want them to know more about us. This kind of
Designed by him, okay? And it's the first question I ask you, Shu Khalid, what did I ask you? What was your inspiration? Yes, because me as interior designer and artist, before doing any artwork or any design, I have to get inspired from anything. It can be from a travel, from a food, from a flower, anything. Maybe even this panel, this discussion we're having now together can inspire me to do a beautiful artwork. So when I saw the carpets, I saw the Vision Saudi Arabia, Vision Saudi 2030, seriously. And exactly, I got so happy because when he explained, Khalid, can you tell us more about it?
I truly love it. It's a beautiful process that, of course, we had to have the help of AI in some of the design or creative process in order to get to a better brainstorming results. And this had our best of our ideas and knowledge to be brought to an actual product that is there already for people to feel and touch and so on. I'll give you one example. For instance, the Mashrabiya screen in Jeddah. Imagine if this was produced by AI tool and then fabricated by robotic arm. This will save time, will create different windows to people to root it within the culture, but shortening the time and giving better results and better quality. I believe this is what we're talking about today.
Excellent, thank you. Engy, they might not claim it, but they are. So if you had to look at an opportunity given all of these aspects, where do you think
the Saudi citizens be happy or be comfortable? So I think the well-being comes first, because it gives them the opportunity to work well, to create, to be more effective in work, to be more good, better in school, better in the faculty, whatever you're studying. So I think this is the best part that they're working on. For me, actually, I think that well-being is the most important part of my life. that if I'm not sleeping well, if I'm not happy, if I'm not feeling comfortable, I will not have the opportunity to be creative. And all my work depends on the creativity. So how will I be